lesson is 11.1, which is multiplying whole numbers. You will have two objectives in this lesson. The first objective is to learn how to multiply fractions together. Your second objective that you want to learn before this lesson ends is to also learn how to cross-cancel when multiplying. And I'll explain a little bit about what that means further on. So as you can see on this slide, I've written out two different multiplication problems. When you're multiplying problems, it's actually rather quite easy. The first thing you do is all you have to do is multiply straight across on the top, and then you multiply straight across on the bottom with your denominators. So if I were going to go ahead and work on this first problem, 5 6 times 1/2, I would multiply 5 times 1 to get an answer of 5 in my answer. And then I would go ahead and multiply 6 times 2, which equals 12. And then I'm done. So 5 6 times 1/2 equals 5/12. Pretty simple. Let's try this problem down below. So this time I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be multiplying this 4 times 2. 4 times 2 equals 8. And then I'm going to multiply the denominators of 5 times 3, which equals 15. Therefore, 4 fifths times 2/3 equals 8/15. Now, the second objective of this lesson was to learn how to cross-cancel, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means. So feel free to watch this slide a couple different times if you would like a refresher on how to do this, because cross-canceling is really, really nice because it takes a problem that has large numbers and it will simplify it for you. So in your answer, you don't have to do an extra step. Some people don't like to cross-cancel because they think it's extra work, but I've always found that it makes me multiply so much faster than doing multiple steps at the end. So how do you go about multiplying and cross-canceling together? When I cross-cancel, I'm going to be looking at the numerator of one fraction and the denominator of its second fraction. So right now I'm looking at this 2 and this 4, and I'm going to go ahead and simplify those. A number that can go into both 2 and 4 is 2. So I'm going to divide this 2 by 2 and the 4 by 2. And to do that, I'm going to just cross out the 2 here and say 2 divided by 2 is 1. I'm going to put the 1 next door. And I'm going to cross out the 4 of the denominator. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now I'm going to look at the denominator of this fraction with the numerator of this fraction, and I'm going to simplify those. So I'm simplifying this 3 and the 6. Well, 3 is a number that goes into both 3 and 6. So I'm going to cross out this 6 down below. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then I'm going to cross out the 3 in my numerator. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So once again, I am simplifying fractions, but I'm doing it in a way that's diagonal, as you can see. And then, similar to my slide before, all I now need to do is just multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom with my new numbers. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. So my answer is 1/4. Okay, so let's pretend for a second I didn't cross-cancel. I'm working with my original problem, 2 6 times 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and multiply the top. 2 times 3 is 6. And multiply the bottom. 6 times 4 is 24. And then all I need to do left is just simplify this fraction. If I were to divide the top and the bottom by 6, your answer would be 1/4, which is similar to our answer that we got above after cross-canceling. In this slide, I want you to cross-cancel before you try to multiply. So, once again, when we're cross-canceling, I'm looking at the numerator of one number with the denominator of the second. In this case, I can cancel out both of these 10s and just say, well, 10 divided by 10 is 1. So now they just become 1s. Next, I'm going to look at the denominator of my first number with the numerator of the second and find a number that is that can go into both 12 and 8. And the first number that comes to mind is 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now I can just multiply across the top and the bottom. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 1 is 3. My answer is going to be 2/3. Now, sometimes you're going to be multiplying a whole number with a fraction, and it might look a little weird, but it's actually not. So, in this problem, I have the whole number 45 being multiplied by 3/9. Now, remember that when you're working with whole numbers, if you wanted to change that whole number to a fraction form, all you need to do is just place a line under it and put a 1 for your denominator, because 45 divided by 1 is 45. This works in every single problem that you will do. So my new problem is actually going to be 45 over 1 times 3/9. And this is where cross-canceling comes in handy, because we're working with some pretty large numbers. I don't want to go ahead and multiply 45 times 3. Let's make it easy on ourselves. Instead, we're going to cross-cancel. So I'm going to look at the 45 of my numerator and the 9 in the denominator, figure out what is the number that goes into both 45 and 9. Knowing my fact families, I know that 9 goes into 45. So I'm going to cancel out this 45 and say 45 divided by 9 is 5. So 5 becomes my new numerator. And 9 divided by itself is 1. So make sure that you're always dividing both of these numbers by the same number. And in this case, I divided the 45 by 9, and I also divide the 9 by 9 as well. In this case, I'm looking at the 3 and the 1 right here, and you can't really cross-cancel those. So that means that I'm good to go. Multiplying across the top, I see that 5 times 3 is 15. And then multiplying by the bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer is going to be 15 over 1, or just the number 15. So my answer to 45 times 3/9 equals 15. Let's try another problem. In this case, I have the whole number 56 being multiplied by 7/8. Once again, you'll also want to cross-cancel, but before doing that, I need to change 56 to a fraction. I'm going to go ahead and just make 1 as its denominator, and I'm good to go. So I'm going to cross-cancel looking at this 56 and 8. Knowing my fact families, I know that 8 times 7 is 56. So I can go ahead and cross out this 56 and divide it by 8. 56 divided by 8 is 7. And I can cross out this 8 and just make it a 1. I'm just dividing by 8 on both the top and the bottom. And then looking to see if I can cross-cancel with this 1 and 7. They're already in its simplest form, so I can't really do anything with that. So I just go ahead and multiply both the top, and then I'll multiply the bottom. So 7 times 7 is 49. And 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer is going to be 49 over 1, or the whole number of 49. See, this is why cross-canceling is really, really handy, because otherwise I would have to go about multiplying 56 times 7, which will take a little bit of work, but after that I would then have to divide that by 8. So you can see that's a lot of extra work that I just don't really want to bother with, which is why cross-canceling is the best tip and trick that math people have come up with. So here's practice problem number 1. Feel free to pause and try to figure this out by yourself, but I do want you to cross-cancel. Okay, I'm going to be looking at places where I can cross-cancel with my 9 and 6. I know 3 is a number that goes into 9 and 6, so I'm going to just divide both of these by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Then I'm going to look at this 15 and 5, and I know 5 is a number that goes into 15 and 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now I can go ahead and just multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. So you can see from my answer of this one, my answer is going to be 3/6, or if I were to simplify, 1/2. Practice problem number 2. Feel free to pause. Okay, hopefully you decided to give this whole number into a fraction, so I just put a 1 underneath it and made it into its fraction form. Now I can go ahead and cross-cancel this 72 and 8. I know 8 goes into 72, so I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by the number 8. 72 divided by 8 is 9, and 8 divided by 8 is 1. And I can't really go ahead and cross-cancel anything here. It's already in its simplest form. So I can multiply straight across. 9 times 5 is 45. And 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer is 45 over 1, or 45. So I know there are a lot of new things in this lesson. Feel free to write a question and circle the smiley face of how well you think you understand.